Welcome to Cupcakes and Clarity, the podcast for high-achieving women who want success and fulfillment without burning it all down. I'm your host, Lisa Pirinelli, and every Tuesday I'm bringing you honest conversations and practical strategies to help you create more balance, purpose, and joy in your work and your life. Think of this as a heart-to-heart with a trusted friend. Together we'll get real about the challenges you face, and you'll leave every episode feeling clear, confident, and inspired to make your next chapter your best one yet. Welcome back to Cupcakes and Clarity. I'm your host, Lisa Pirinelli. And if you listened to last week's episode, you know we talked about step 1 of the Freedom Map, getting clear on what matters most. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, no worries. You can still get a lot from today's episode. But I will say you probably should pop over and listen to that too, because it'll help you have a deeper understanding on how all this works together once you decide your top priorities. Because before we can build the life we want, we need to know what really deserves our time and energy. Today's episode, we're going to move into steps 2 and 3 of the Freedom Map, where that clarity starts to turn into action. This is the fun part where we actually start diving into things that you know now are a priority for you, and how do we start fitting that into your life and making some changes. So we're talking about designing your vision and simplifying your path so that you can move from awareness to momentum in a way that feels aligned but not overwhelming. Once you know what matters most, the next question is, what do you actually want your life to look and feel like? So this is step 2, design your vision. Here's the key. This isn't about creating a perfect 5-year plan or setting 100 goals. It's about designing a picture of what an aligned, grounded, joyful life looks like for you. One way I like to think about this, to simplify it, is our values are the why and our vision is how it looks. So now, step 1, we talked about what is a priority for you, what matters most. Those are your whys. And now we're going to go into the vision of how you want your life to look, focusing on those whys as your priority. So another way to say that is your values lead and your vision follows. So if one of your top values is freedom, your vision might look like having more flexibility in your schedule. Maybe working a few days from home, or you can say no to some projects that you know are going to drain you. And if one of your values is connection, your vision could look more like sitting down to family dinners, even if that's just a few nights a week, or having slower mornings where you sit, you drink your coffee, and then you review your plan for the day, kind of setting the tone for your day so that you can understand what's about to happen, and also maybe where you know you're going to be able to make some changes or pivot in the day based on how you feel. Or reconnecting with friends you've drifted from. So it might be a chance to send a couple of quick texts, checking in, or even trying to set up a coffee date or something that just allows you to reconnect with somebody that you really care about. Let me give you a quick example. I've had many conversations where clients have said they wanted to quit their job. But when we unpacked it, what was really wanted was to feel less trapped. And in most cases, the actual vision wasn't to leave her career. It was to redesign it around what mattered. If you think about it, for many of our jobs, we went into that job or going after that job because we really wanted it. There was something about that job that we really liked. And in a lot of cases, you may really love your job. There's at least pieces of it, but it's become out of balance and now you want to leave it. But is it really the job, or are there things that could be changed about it that you would make you want to keep it? So if this sounds familiar, then it helps to first answer, what does freedom mean to you? The solution could be shifting your schedule around. It could be setting firmer boundaries with your team. So learning how to set those boundaries, but then also clearly communicating them with your team so that they understand and they know that you really are going to uphold that boundary with yourself and with them. It could be carving out Fridays for something that's a top priority, like a date night or going to your kid's game or a quiet night at home to settle your nerves. If you've had a chaotic work week and then you're getting ready to go into a weekend where you want to have quality time with your family, it's good to have that break to transition from closing out your work week and going into weekend mode. Discovering the core of what you're wanting with your freedom allows you to make your targeted decisions that don't require big moves to get what you need, even if you have the same job. But by doing these things, you've created a totally different experience. That's the power of designing your vision. It turns your vague frustration into something you can actually picture and then take specific actions that are doable. So let's do a mini exercise. If you're listening right now, grab a notebook or jot this in your phone. Or if you're like me and you're walking around, you can just kind of do this in your head or come back later and then take the notes. But write this. In 1 year, I want to feel blank because I'm spending more time doing blank and less time doing blank. So no pressure, just let it flow. Your vision should feel inspired and not intimidating. So as an example, if we're talking about the wanting to leave your job because you want freedom, and you've defined freedom as having more time with your family and not working so many hours and missing evenings together or working weekends. So your sentence could look like this. In 1 year, I want to feel less trapped by my job because I'm spending more time doing activities with my family in the evenings and weekends and less time doing work after hours. So that's just one example. And that's pretty specific. You could definitely get more specific if you did do the exercise in step 1 and you know your top priorities. You could actually build this sentence to fit those in, where you say, I want to feel, and it could be very specific. Like, I want to feel less trapped, less overwhelmed, less frustrated, less all the different feelings because you're spending more time doing. And then you could list the actual specific things that are your priorities and then less time doing. And then list all the things that are very specific that you're doing now that you don't want to be doing. That's taking your time. But if this feels overwhelming or you are so overwhelmed or stressed out by your job, sometimes getting that specific can just feel very intimidating and frustrating itself. So just, meet yourself wherever you're at. It could truly be as simple as, in 1 year, I want to feel better because I'm spending more time doing the things that matter to me and less time doing the things that drain me. You could start there at that very simple. It's pretty vague, but it does at least put it out there that you want to feel better. You do want to prioritize what you want. And you want to spend less time doing things that other people want you to do or that work is requiring you to do. That is a great step to write that down and have that clear. And as you work through this, you can get more and more specific so that you actually know what actions to take. And if you're sitting there thinking, I'd love some help mapping that out. Well, that's exactly what I do with my one-on-one coaching sessions with clients. We take the jumble of ideas in your head and we turn it into a simple, doable plan that fits your real life, not the Pinterest version of it, but what you really want. So if you're ready to move from, I wish I could, to I'm actually doing it, head over to lisapirinelli.com/connect and schedule a consultation with me. We'll get you started on your own freedom map together. All right. Now let's move into step 3, simplify your path. This is where your vision becomes motion. Here's the thing. Clarity without action can start to feel frustrating, but action without clarity just leads to burnout. So this step is about finding your next right move, not your perfect plan. And what I mean by clarity without action, how that starts feeling frustrating. If you are like, I know what I want. I know what the problem is. I just don't know how to do anything about it. Well, that can be very frustrating, and it can actually lead to a lot of anxiety because you're not taking any action. And then if you're constantly taking action and you're just doing all of the things, but you're not really sure like what it is you should be doing, or you haven't taken the time to get very clear on that, that's when it starts to lead to burnout. So if you're feeling anxious, it could mean that you haven't gotten clear on what you really want and like the actions that need to follow. Or if you're starting to feel burned out from taking all the action, but nothing is changing, then it could mean that the actions aren't focused on actually providing a solution for the things that you need help with. So coming back to taking the next right step, I call it taking small bets. So instead of trying to overhaul everything, we test one small shift at a time. Another client of mine wanted more peace and space in her week, but she kept saying, "There's no time. I'm too busy. I'm so busy." So we didn't start with a full overhaul. That was going to be way too much for her in the beginning. It was going to not feel doable. It was actually going to cause her more stress because it was such a shift, and she just couldn't see the possibilities at that time. So we started small. And we started with a single no phone night on Wednesdays. And within a month, she was reading again. She was having some real conversations and feeling lighter. And then that one small change reminded her that she's in charge of her time and energy, not the other way around. So I want you to think about this for yourself. Where could you create more alignment by doing less? What's one small, meaningful step you could take in the next week that moves you toward your vision? Maybe it's going for a walk before checking email. Maybe it's setting one new boundary at work. For example, you could say that you will take no work meetings during your lunch hour because you're actually going to go eat lunch. Or maybe you're going to take a walk during lunch. Maybe it's that you don't have conference calls scheduled after 4:30 in the afternoon, knowing that you need to be out of the office or done with work by 5 o'clock. So you set yourself up for success by setting the boundary at work that no calls after 4:30. And we can talk more on another episode about calendar blocking and all the different tricks you can do to kind of help protect your time. It is an episode in of itself. But one quick tip is to just like schedule on your calendar. If you have work at one of those places that people can see your calendar, block that last half hour or whatever it is that you need on your calendar each day. No one's going to see exactly what it is that you blocked, but you could just put that in as your protected, close out the day kind of work. So check any last minute emails, set yourself up for the next day. Get yourself in a position to be able to leave for work knowing that you're going to actually turn off your brain from work when you leave. Or even blocking like 15 minutes for something that fills you up, whatever that would be. So remember, simplicity creates momentum and progress builds confidence. Even the smallest step can help you build confidence. Okay, let's take a quick cupcake moment before we wrap up. This is your sweet reminder to savor progress. I'm going to tell you a story about myself here. The other day, I was baking a batch of muffins and I got distracted for a second. I'm pretty sure my kiddo asked me to look at something that she had drawn and I accidentally overfilled one of the cups. Now, the perfectionist in me wanted to empty out the entire pan, scoop out all the batter since I was already halfway done filling them, scoop them all out, take it out, and redo them because I had made a mess. But luckily, I did not. When I pulled those muffins out of the oven, that one cupcake had overflowed and it did make a bit of a mess, but it smelled amazing. And because it had all those like little extra, almost not quite burned little crispy bits on the side that I absolutely love to eat. And it reminded me that sometimes when we try to do too much, things get messy. But even then, there's still sweetness in the process. So you don't have to have the perfect plan or balance every plate. Sometimes the overflow is where we learn what's enough. So this week, give yourself permission to simplify and celebrate even the small wins. So let's recap. Step 2 is design your vision. Get clear on what aligned looks and feels like for you. Step 3, simplify your path, is where you're going to break it down into small, meaningful steps that actually fit your life. Freedom doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing what matters most with intention. And if today's episode sparks something for you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your takeaway on social. You can tag me or send me a message. I truly love hearing your stories. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, where we're going to dive into step 4 and 5, where we're going to learn how to stay consistent when life gets messy. And one last thing, if this idea of mapping out your own version of balance and freedom sounds exciting, please join me for the upcoming Freedom Map Workshop. It's free, it's practical, and it'll help you put everything we've been talking about into action with a live virtual session to get even more support. You can get all the details and sign up at lisapirinelli.com/freedom map. I'd love to see you there. Until next time, remember to take a deep breath, choose one small step forward, and don't forget to savor something sweet along the way. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Cupcakes and Clarity. If today's conversation inspired you and you'd like even more tips and strategies tailored to your life, go to lisapirinelli.com/resources for more self-guided tools. And if you're ready for personal support to help you navigate what's holding you back, I'd love to meet you. Head over to lisapirinelli.com to schedule your free consultation call. New episodes drop every Tuesday, so be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean so much if you shared it with a friend or leave a quick review. Until next time, here's to creating more clarity, confidence, and joy in your life, one cupcake at a time.